Ô, victory in the end for Fnatic, but there is so much to unpack in this very first game. So we're going to start right away with some bans. And first off, I want to give credit where credit is due. Ender said with the composition that they're running, with the players that they're running, they could look to go for Tristana Braum, and that exactly happened.
Yeah, they went for it very early on. Again, super safe bot lane. They were never trying to win the lane, but it's built for these mid to late game team fights where Fnatic were just so easily able to dominate.
The other thing that we have to talk about is the Ivern coming out in a first draft for Misfits. Cold, can you talk to me through the positives and negatives of pulling out this Ivern?
I mean, so first of all, historically, we have actually seen Maxwell play the Ivern before. I think he played it back at Worlds last year as well, so it's not a new pick for him specifically. The reason why we didn't see that much Ivern lately is because it literally doesn't do damage, you know? And that is probably one of the biggest flaws of the champion. You want to utilize your teammates to do the damage and then just shield them and provide some of the CC. But I think the champion is just honestly too weak. I think the Fisher gave it a 0 out of 10. I will give it a 1 out of 10 in this case.
I'll give it 1.5 out of 10 if we're doing that. But really the idea was to protect Hansama because you have the Orianna shield, you have the Ivern shield, the redemption from him as well. It was all built around this player, but the way the game played out, they never actually gave him the support so he could step up for the team.
Exactly, and a lot centered around
plus E to get the kill, but he flashes out and then gets stuck under the tower for Broxah to wrap around.
Definitely. And first of all, I just want to point out this play is actually super risky because of the big wave that Ripu has to play with. And then on top of this, they actually didn't have any information on Broxah when they made the play. So a lot of risk due to the lack of information. And then we saw them just completely collapse here.
Yeah, and then it also just leads into this idea where Maxor revisits the top lane to try and get Alphari into a good position, but that means he's not ganking bot lane, and that's where he needed to be for this composition to succeed.
Exactly, so Fnatic was in the driver's
O Mac tem ofertas para você se dar bem todo dia.
And they have the better scaling on their part, so I don't think Fnatic is too happy with taking this in the early game.
We talked about the keys to victory of Fnatic. It was enabling the superstar carries you have in Caps and in Reckless. And from that point on, it really seemed to be going in that direction. The next fight we're going to take a look at is a big team fight in the mid lane where Reckless finally knows that he's strong, he has his items, and he can just jump.
I really think Tristana is going to be banned in every single game from now on because he is just so dominant on this champion. Watching him jump forward in these fights to get the resets and go for the kills is so impressive. And you also see in this play as well, Cap sort of coming in around on the flank to set up for this massive multi-kill on Reckless.
Definitely. And Reckless is one of the guys on Tristana that likes to jump forward, and we really saw that in this game. You know, he likes
so many times.
He jumps in. He's not afraid. He pulls out the damage, and he knows exactly the limits of the champion. I think that is really what describes him on Tristana.
And we also have to say we had a lot of hype around Reckless Hansama matchup, and a bit of a question mark of, you know, is he gonna step on stage and is he going to be as confident as before? When you get to play your Tristana in your first game and your win conditions run exactly as you had prepared them with your composition, Fnatic and Reckless are going to take a big confidence boost from this.
That being said, though, Hansama did build a pretty sizable advantage in that bottom lane. Not early on, Reckless stayed pretty even, but they were able to take the first turret down there, actually get a second turret, and build up a CS advantage. Just once it sort of, the game devolved into a bunch of these mid lane skirmishes, that's where Reckless was able to pick up the kills and ultimately win the fight.
That is true. Now we have to tally up the side for Misfits. They came into this, they know they had a great quarterfinal up versus G2 where they played the rat through the bottom lane and they weren't really able to do this here. What do you want to see changed going into game 2 cold?
Honestly, not too much. I think the biggest mistake in the game specifically was that they committed for 2v2 topside when in reality they should look to abuse the fact that they have the stronger bot lane, and that was what they showed in the quarterfinal. They drafted exactly the same, played around it, but in this case they didn't do it. So you either take this approach and you play more towards the bottom lane, or you try to match the scaling. I'm sure Hansama can play the Kai'Sa, this kind of stuff. But
do you
want
to see Ivern again this series?
I don't want to see Ivern again.
Please
I
no.
think you
Please.
can try it once. After that, it's over. I want something that can fight earlier on into the game and really go for 3v3s around the bottom lane. That's where Misfits will find their success.
All right, we want to put some agency in Maxlor, who also had a wonderful performance against G2 Esports. We will see what happens. The reigning champions of Fnatic, they are on their way towards the summer final in Madrid. We'll see if they can take us to match point right after this.
Up in the back line as well. Here comes Hansama. Look at the Callista's going to put spears in the back of the Forge God, and Whippo tries to turn it around, but you can't do much in this sort of situation. Passive's going to do a huge amount of work. There's one. Senko splashes straight into the arms of the Reckless. It's flashing forward. Reckless comes back for playoffs. He gets one. There's the second. Flank. Face calling for Mickey. They're trying to take out the carry before they can. The Petrifying Gaze comes out, and Caps is still alive in the midst of it all. The shockwave only hits onto Reckless. Fnatic find the perfect fight in the Misfits jungle with the knockup. Alfari not in a good spot at all. The Cho'Gath's done for, and maybe so are Misfits hopes. Reckless. Holy moly, that's a lot of damage! Fnatic strike first. They're going to team fight their way to victory and take a 1-0 lead over Misfits. Welcome back to the EU LCS Summer Playoffs. Fnatic are up 1-0 in tonight's series as they look to secure their spot in the final. And guys, what a 1-0 it was. Team fights left, team fights right, and in the end, Fnatic won.
Yes, yes, they did.
That's a nice summary.
And they did it pretty convincingly towards the second half of the game. But the first half definitely looked a little shaky at times. Yes, they got a big advantage up towards the top side of the map due to some pretty good counter ganks against Maxlor. However, they tried to force a lot of plays that they honestly didn't need to force. And that could have given a big opportunity for Misfits to regain. Well, they did regain a big advantage in the other game.
But if you look back at the draft, some problems for Misfits were the fact that one, there was a Skarner that got super fed, and they were forced to build early QSS, made it hard for them to team fight. And the second thing, it was hard for them to camp a bot lane because this Tristana was sitting there. I want to see what they change. I don't think banning Pyke like they did in Game 1 is necessary. I would remove that personally, and instead ban either a Skarner or a Tristana.
Same bans from Fnatic and from Misfits up to now. As you say, Pyke was the third ban for Misfits in this first phase. Instead, going to be the Skarner that they struggled with so much.
You know, I think they're going to first pick the Pyke main.
I mean, if they do that, Fnatic will not win the draft. That's just pure comfort for Hylissang. Sure, that's great, but that's not what you need.
Being sensible.
I like this because Fnatic knows that the way for Misfits to win is that they can kill the Fnatic bot lane.
Yes.
And it's much easier to kill the Pyke than it is to kill the Braum here. Kalista Alistar is still a fine choice. Give me a different jungler. I don't want Ivern again. I want more early game aggression, something you can really do something with early in terms of ganking. And then I need a roaming mid from Senkux.
I would say Gragas, however, I do feel that Braum can be a really effective pick thanks to his shield and mitigating a lot of the Gragas ulti plays that Maxlor did have a fantastic job of making last week in the quarterfinal, but Fnatic could look to prioritize it themselves. Things like the Trundle are still available, but it looks like the draft is going to be very similar as Fnatic right now hovering over there. A number of options for Bwipo.
And looking at it from the outside, you say you've got Braum Tristana in the bottom lane for Fnatic. That worked so well for them in the last game.
Yep.
Kalista Alistar did not have the effect they would have wanted it to. So we are really looking towards where Maxlor goes with that jungler. You need something strong. And Fnatic here looking for their final pick in this first phase. Sion, a very strong pick to go for early on.
Small history lesson based on some of the hovers from Caps. The Wukong he used against Misfits, and the Kayn he actually played mid lane also against Misfits in the past. The one time we got to see the Shadow Assassin Kayn, and he destroyed Hansama with it. So taunting the team, but Sion of course being locked in here. We have to look towards Whippo with that. So you can still go for your top lane choice here if you are Alphari. It was the Cho'Gath in the last game, and they're just gonna keep it standard. Okay, Maokai instead, still tank.
Yeah, they a little bit more engage. Doesn't win lane, but I guess against the Sion, who's typically considered pretty good into most tanks.
You just trigger Vizichachi at home. It's like, oh, you win on Maokai.
Especially against champions like, nah, the greatest matchup. But we'll see how Alphari does. He didn't have the best game one. A lot of that was down to the early playmaking that didn't quite go in Misfits' favor. This time around, we do still have junglers left up and available. Cassio going to be taken off the board. And last time, I do believe that it was the LeBlanc that was banned and Aurelia, yes. So perhaps Misfits would look to prioritize Aurelia themselves. It was something that Senkux played in the first half of the split a lot.
Yeah, it's true, but for me, if you want a hardcore snow bot lane against Tristana Braum, you tend to need more than just your jungler down there.
I agree.
And then again, I'm not looking at things that just stays mid from Senkux.
So Aurelion Soul, Twisted Fate, two real possibilities.
Galio, like almost Talia maybe, but that will probably be unlikely against Caps. If you can't blind pick it, then you're gonna get completely destroyed in the mid lane.
So I mean, LeBlanc, funnily enough, is another one. And if you think back to a year ago, and this was the Power of Evil Misfits, then you could have considered that.
Oh, the Bandit TF.
With the Rise ban coming out now for Misfits, I wonder if Senkux feels confident to play that kind of roaming style mid in LeBlanc. But it's not something that we would typically see from the Misfits mid lane.
In terms of junglers, things like Trundle is still available.
Oh, okay, so mid lane Lulu.
Okay.
Mid lane Lulu.
Interesting.
It's supportive. It puts a lot of eggs in the Kalista basket here because I'm not seeing much damage on the rest of that composition at all.
If he can push and leave, it can still go bot lane and make something happen. It's not a pure roaming pick, but yeah, it is once again, hello Kalista, please carry. And in order for Kalista to properly deal with these big front lines, she needs to get ahead. Otherwise, this is going to be double damage dealer on the side of Fnatic, doing it better and faster than what Hansama can do. But there's a lot of protection. It's a massive front line. It does tell me we probably get a damage dealer in the jungle from Maxlor.
What are you thinking of for that damage dealer in the jungle? Because I heard you tail off at the end there, Deficio. I want to know where we think Misfits are going to go.
I mean, we had Graves yesterday. Kindred has been another choice we have seen still in terms of if you want like damage from the jungle coming in. Gragas, however, is already there to try and use his ulti against
Caps and Corki.
Okay.
Something we haven't seen him play for a while. You talked about roaming mid lane champions. Once he gets the package, Corki can be pretty effective at utilizing pressure onto either side. But again, kind of standard draft from Fnatic. They have scaling on their side, good mid to late game spike, and I feel like that they can go much more towards those team fights as well.
All right, so it's Kindred or Graves really from the two that we mentioned here in terms of, you know, being able to deal damage.
Opa! Então, galera, rapidinho, porque tem um pouco do Jair Bolsonaro aqui, e eu vou só esperar eles passarem na rua, e aí eu continuo.
Like, this is perfect. Corki scaling is nuts. And when we had supportive mid laners in the past, Corki was one of the picks people liked against it because you don't punish it hard enough. Yeah, you just free farm, and Corki's late game, because he can deal consistent damage, the shielding is just not enough to stop him from carrying.
It just surprises me that Misfits are going for this all in on effectively hyper hand slammer. They're just building comps. They did it with Ivern in game 1 to very much protect him. They kind of synergized that with the Orianna too. Now we have the Lulu. Kindred ultimate is pretty good, but at the same time, Gragas has often been considered a pretty solid pick because he can use his ulti to knock out people from the Kindred ult. But again, it's all about early game playmaking bot, which they failed to do in game 1. Misfits, they need to find that success in game 2.
So let's see what Maxlaw can do specifically in this game. Last game he played Ivern. He went top lane twice. That gave 4 kills over to Fnatic, and then we didn't see.
Então vamos lá, galera. Então para esse jogo entre Fnatic e Misfits. Então pro jogo aqui entre Fnatic e Misfits. Me desculpa pelo barulho, daqui a pouco passa. Mas é porque é o seguinte. Tá passando uma carreata do Bolsonaro, tá passando o povo ali, então já para, mas enquanto isso a gente vai transmitir o jogo pra vocês, porque, meu amigo, aqui a gente não para, então pronto, aqui a gente não para, meu amigo, então vamos lá com Fnatic e Misfits aqui na LCS, então tá aí. Começamos então a partida entre Fnatic contra Misfits pela LCS Europa. Aqui então vamos lá transmitir, vamos lá curtir com todo mundo, chama seus amigos, chama todo mundo. Se você puder divulgar também, divulga pra gente que vai estar transmitindo aqui entre Fnatic e Misfits o jogo 2 da LCS Europa 2018. O jogo 2 entre essas equipes, vamos lá então transmitir agora a segunda partida pra gente poder curtir, pra gente poder se animar com o que vem por aí, então, entre Fnatic e Misfits, tá bom? Vamos lá, então, com muita transmissão de jogos. Lembrando, a única narração PTBR é só aqui, tá bom? Única narração PTBR da LCS. É só aqui que você acompanha? É só aqui que você acompanha. Então, vamos lá, galera. Seguinte. Vamos lá, então. Pois é, então vamos ver aí, começa a segunda partida. Por enquanto, nenhuma das equipes conseguiu uma eliminação. Lembrando, só pra lembrar aqui pra vocês, a Fnatic ganhou a primeira partida com uma atuação de gala do Reckless com a Tristana, tá? Então a Tristana também estava no jogo passado nas mãos do Reckless para a Fnatic. Então já começamos a segunda partida. Partida passada o Max Lord tinha pegado esse Ivern. Então agora muito bom, muito importante também, né? Pra equipe por ali da Misfits. Pegou aquele Ivern, conseguiu acelerar um pouco. No início foi bom, mas no final não. A mesma bot lane da passada também. Você que está assistindo aqui com a gente, seguinte, você pode assistir pelo VOD Stream. O que é o VOD Stream? São os jogadores transmitindo né, a visão deles na partida. Você pode assistir, mas eu prefiro que você continue aqui com a gente na narração. Aqui. Vamos Então vamos lá ali, ó. O Hyliang's Pulse Life. Ah, então tá ali até no cantinho ali, ó. Assista o Hyliang, né? O Hyliang tá jogando lá, então você que quer assistir, você que tá assistindo pela Twitch TV, ou você que tá assistindo, você que, sei lá, tá acompanhando aqui com a gente, se você quiser assistir, prefere aqui com a gente. Daqui a pouco a gente fala muito mais sobre entre o jogo da MaxLure, entre Fnatic e Misfits, entre a segunda partida aqui da semifinal da LCS Europa. Enquanto aqui nessa rota do meio tudo tranquilo, pra quem não tá vendo, pra quem tá achando estranho, a Lulu, sim, é uma Lulu na rota do meio, uma Lulu mid a favor da equipe da Misfits. Não é loucura, não é nada, é sim uma Lulu por ali na rota do meio, tudo bem? Então vamos lá, o Bloco já vem chegando por aqui. E olha, já vem chegando por aqui o Mix, pode acabar sendo eliminado. O Reckless já abre, quer gastar por ele, seu ultimate já vem chegando, o teleporte também. A equipe da Misfits vai garantir. First Blood fica nas mãos da Misfits. E tá lá. Double Kill Ransama.
Sem gritar.
A equipe da Misfits garante 2 eliminações a favor do Ransama. Garantiram por ali 2 abates. Óbvio, o Offre chegou com o teleporte, gastou, foi por ali. Mas olha o Liang, pode acabar sendo pego por aqui, já foi pego! Killing Spree nas mãos do Ransama. Ele consegue um Killing Spree agora. A equipe da Misfits já vem acelerando muito a partida. São 3 eliminações na mão por ali do Ransama. Mas olha agora, na rota do topo, o McLaurin já vem chegando pra ali. O Alpha ele pode garantir esse abate também. O McLaurin já vem chegando pra ali. Teleporte do Caps. Lá naquela rota superior. Vamos ver se vai dar tempo. Flash do McLaurin que garante o abate. Mas já vem chegando pra ali toda a equipe da Misfits. A Fnatic também chega. O McLaurin acaba garantindo a eliminação. Pode acabar sendo eliminado também. O Broxa vai ficando com muita pouca vida. Sensacional jogada do Alfari, garantiu uma eliminação, consegue revidar a favor da Misfits. E agora já vem chegando o Reckless por aqui nessa rota no meio. Vamos ver o que ele vai tentar fazer, porque o Mix já vem chegando por aqui também. Vamos ver, já vem chegando, eles vão tentando revidar. Vamos ver se a Lulu garante essa eliminação. Acaba sendo travada, garante por ali também seu ultimate. Olha